A complete summary of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. Hook and intro. Hello everyone and welcome to our channel, where we delve deep into the timeless stories that shape our understanding of the human condition. Today we embark on a journey into a literary masterpiece that has charmed readers for over 2 centuries, a novel that has become synonymous with wit, romance, and incisive social commentary. We are talking, of course, about Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. This novel is not just a beloved romance, it is a profound exploration of how our initial judgments, our deeply held biases, and even our own sense of self-worth can either build bridges or erect impenetrable walls between us and genuine connection. Imagine a world where your entire future, your financial security, and your social standing hinged almost entirely on one thing: marriage. For women in late 18th and early 19th century England, this was not merely a romantic notion, but a stark economic reality. This is the world Jane Austen invites us into, a world where a woman's intelligence, her spirit, and her character were often overshadowed by her fortune or lack thereof. Pride and Prejudice masterfully brings this world to life, allowing us to witness the struggles and triumphs of characters navigating a society obsessed with status and appearances. At its heart, Pride and Prejudice is the story of Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy, two individuals whose paths collide and intertwine in a series of misunderstandings, revelations, and profound personal growth. Elizabeth, with her keen mind and independent spirit, initially harbors a strong prejudice against Darcy, perceiving him as arrogant and aloof. Darcy, in turn, struggles with his pride, which stems from his high social standing and wealth, causing him to look down upon Elizabeth's less distinguished connections. Their journey is one of dismantling these titular flaws, learning to see beyond superficial impressions, and ultimately discovering a love founded on mutual respect and genuine understanding. But why does this story, set in a time so different from our own, continue to captivate us today? Why are there countless adaptations, retellings, and discussions about this particular novel? Because the core human experiences it explores are eternal. We all form first impressions, often hastily. We all grapple with our own pride and the prejudices we hold, whether conscious or unconscious. We all seek authentic connections in a world often dominated by appearances and societal pressures. Pride and Prejudice offers us a mirror, reflecting our own tendencies to judge, to misinterpret, and to err. It teaches us the invaluable lesson that true understanding often requires humility, introspection, and a willingness to revise our deepest convictions. Today, we will embark on a complete and detailed summary of this iconic novel, guiding you through its intricate plot, introducing you to its unforgettable characters, and unearthing the profound insights that Jane Austen so brilliantly embedded within its pages. Whether you have read the book countless times or are encountering it for the first time, this video promises to deepen your appreciation for Austen's genius and spark new reflections on love, judgment, and personal growth. Stay with us as we uncover the timeless wisdom woven into the fabric of Pride and Prejudice. Context and background. To truly appreciate the genius of Pride and Prejudice, we must first understand the world in which Jane Austen lived and wrote. Born in 1775, Austen was a keen observer of the English landed gentry, the social class to which her own family belonged, albeit at its lower echelons. She spent most of her life in relative seclusion in rural England, allowing her to gain an intimate knowledge of the domestic lives, social customs, and economic realities that shaped the lives of women of her time. Pride and Prejudice was initially drafted in the late 1790s under the title First Impressions, but it was extensively revised and finally published in 1813. This period, known as the Regency era, roughly 1811 to 1820, was characterized by a rigid social hierarchy where one's birth, wealth, and connections dictated virtually every aspect of life, from marriage prospects to daily interactions. The novel is set in the tranquil countryside of Hertfordshire, where we are introduced to the Bennet family. Mr. Bennet, a gentleman of modest income, resides at Longbourn with his somewhat foolish wife, Mrs. Bennet, and their 5 unmarried daughters, Jane, Elizabeth, Mary, Kitty, and Lydia. The financial situation of the Bennet family is precarious. Due to an archaic legal principle called entailment, their estate Longbourn is entailed away to a distant male cousin, Mr. Collins, meaning it cannot be inherited by any of their daughters. This makes the prospect of a good marriage not just desirable for the Bennet sisters, but an absolute economic necessity. For women of their class, marriage was often the only path to financial security and social standing, as career opportunities were virtually non-existent. This societal pressure is a constant, underlying tension throughout the narrative. The story begins with the exciting news that a wealthy and amiable young man, Mr. Charles Bingley, has leased Netherfield Park, a grand estate in their neighborhood. Mrs. Bennet, whose business of her life was to get her daughters married, is immediately consumed with the idea of one of her daughters capturing Mr. Bingley's affection. This initial setup perfectly illustrates the opening line of the novel, a famously ironic statement. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. This line immediately establishes the satirical tone and the central concern with marriage as an economic transaction rather than solely a romantic ideal. Mr. Bingley arrives accompanied by his two sisters, Miss Caroline Bingley and Mrs. Louisa Hurst, and his exceptionally proud and even wealthier friend, Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy. The entire neighborhood is abuzz with the prospect of new gentlemen. The first social event, the Meryton Assembly Ball, serves as the stage for the crucial initial interactions that will drive the plot. Bingley is immediately smitten with the eldest Bennet daughter, Jane, a young woman of exquisite beauty and gentle disposition. Their mutual attraction is evident and straightforward. However, the contrast between Bingley and Darcy is stark. Darcy's immense wealth and distinguished bearing are overshadowed by his aloofness and arrogance. He refuses to dance with many of the local ladies, including Elizabeth Bennet, famously remarking that she is tolerable, but not handsome enough to tempt me. This slight, overheard by Elizabeth, instantly cements her negative opinion of him, laying the foundation for her prejudice. The plot then develops through a series of social calls, dinners, and small gatherings, during which Jane and Bingley's affection grows steadily. Elizabeth, however, finds herself repeatedly clashing with Darcy, reinforcing her initial impression of him as proud and disagreeable. Her prejudice is further fueled by the arrival of the militia in Meryton, among them a charming officer named Mr. George Wickham. Wickham quickly befriends Elizabeth and, feigning distress, spins a tale of injustice, claiming that Darcy defrauded him of an inheritance left by Darcy's father. Elizabeth, already predisposed to dislike Darcy, readily believes Wickham's account, solidifying her negative judgment and intensifying her animosity towards Darcy. Meanwhile, the odious Mr. Collins, the heir to Longbourn, makes his appearance. He is a pompous, obsequious clergyman, eager to marry one of the Bennet daughters out of a perceived duty and at the urging of his wealthy patroness, Lady Catherine de Bourgh. After Mrs. Bennet makes it clear that Jane is soon to be engaged to Bingley, Mr. Collins sets his sights on Elizabeth. In a scene brimming with Austen's characteristic irony, Mr. Collins proposes to Elizabeth with a preposterous, self-serving speech, citing practical reasons rather than affection. Elizabeth, valuing love and respect over financial security, firmly rejects him, much to her mother's dismay and her father's quiet approval. In a shocking turn of events, Mr. Collins swiftly proposes to Elizabeth's sensible but pragmatic friend, Charlotte Lucas, who accepts. Charlotte, acutely aware of her own limited prospects and the economic realities for unmarried women, chooses a comfortable home over the elusive ideal of romantic love. Her decision serves as a stark contrast to Elizabeth's ideals and highlights the societal pressures that shaped women's choices. This development further complicates Elizabeth's understanding of love, marriage, and personal happiness, making her question the different paths women must take to secure their futures. As the social season progresses, Bingley and his party abruptly leave Netherfield for London, much to the heartbreak of Jane. Elizabeth suspects Darcy's influence, believing he conspired with Bingley's sisters to separate the loving couple due to Jane's lower social status. This perceived interference further fuels Elizabeth's resentment towards Darcy. The emotional turmoil that Jane experiences, coupled with Elizabeth's conviction of Darcy's culpability, strengthens Elizabeth's resolve to hold onto her negative judgment of him. The scene is set for a dramatic confrontation where the deep-seated pride and prejudice of both protagonists will inevitably clash, paving the way for profound revelations and personal growth. In core narrative and analysis, the narrative intensifies when Elizabeth travels to visit Charlotte Lucas, now Mrs. Collins, at Hunsford Rectory in Kent. This visit places Elizabeth in close proximity to Lady Catherine de Bourgh, Mr. Darcy's formidable and arrogant aunt, whose estate, Rosings Park, dominates the local society. Lady Catherine embodies the extreme pride of the aristocracy, constantly reminding others of their social inferiority and her own immense consequence. Her intrusive questions and condescending advice grate on Elizabeth's independent spirit, yet Elizabeth, always quick-witted, refuses to be intimidated, often responding with polite defiance. During Elizabeth's stay, Mr. Darcy frequently visits Rosings and consequently Hunsford. Their interactions remain fraught with tension, a mix of awkward encounters and sharp exchanges. Unexpectedly, Darcy pays Elizabeth a visit at the rectory and, to her astonishment, proposes marriage. This is one of the most pivotal and dramatic scenes in the novel. Darcy, with immense pride, confesses his ardent love, but also meticulously details his struggles against his feelings due to Elizabeth's inferior family connections and lack of fortune. His proposal is delivered with such condescension that Elizabeth is not only offended but enraged. Elizabeth's rejection is furious and unequivocal. She confronts him with his perceived arrogance, his alleged cruelty to Wickham, and his role in separating Jane and Bingley. Her words are sharp, fueled by her deep-seated prejudice and the accumulation of slights and misunderstandings. Darcy, equally affronted by her passionate rejection and her accusations, is shocked and hurt. This confrontation is the climax of their initial animosity, bringing their titular flaws of pride and prejudice to a head. It forces both characters to confront uncomfortable truths about themselves and each other. The very next day, Darcy intercepts Elizabeth during her morning walk and hands her a long, detailed letter. This letter is a masterstroke of plot development and character revelation. In it, Darcy explains his actions and sheds light on the truth behind the accusations against him. He reveals Wickham's true character, a manipulative opportunist who squandered the inheritance left to him by Darcy's father, attempted to elope with Darcy's younger sister Georgiana for her fortune, and consistently tried to extort money from the Darcy family. This revelation completely shatters Elizabeth's positive impression of Wickham. Darcy's letter also clarifies his interference with Jane and Bingley. He admits to having misjudged Jane's affections, believing her to be indifferent to Bingley and observing that the Bennet family's lack of decorum, particularly Mrs. Bennet's boisterousness and the younger sister's flirtatiousness, made their connections undesirable. His motive, he insists, was to protect his friend from an unhappy marriage. This detailed explanation forces Elizabeth into profound introspection. Till this moment I never knew myself, she reflects, realizing the extent of her own prejudice and the fallibility of her judgment. This moment marks a significant turning point in her character development, leading her to question her own pride and her discernment. After returning home, Elizabeth embarks on a tour of Derbyshire with her aunt and uncle, the Gardeners. Their travels unexpectedly lead them to Pemberley, Mr. Darcy's magnificent estate. Believing Darcy to be absent, Elizabeth agrees to tour the house and grounds. What she sees profoundly impacts her. Pemberley is not just grand, it is tasteful, beautifully maintained, and reflects a sense of order and benevolent stewardship. The housekeeper's glowing account of Darcy's character, describing him as a kind and generous master and brother, further softens Elizabeth's prejudice. She begins to see a man far different from the proud, arrogant figure she had initially imagined. A surprising encounter occurs when Darcy unexpectedly arrives home while Elizabeth is still touring Pemberley. Their interaction is marked by a newfound politeness and civility on Darcy's part and a growing embarrassment on Elizabeth's as she recalls her harsh rejection and the accusations she hurled at him. Darcy's demeanor is entirely changed. He is amiable, welcoming, and even introduces Elizabeth to his beloved younger sister, Georgiana, who is shy but sweet. This series of events at Pemberley serves as a powerful symbol of Darcy's true character, revealing the inherent goodness and warmth beneath his reserved exterior. It allows Elizabeth to finally see him with a clear, unprejudiced eye, fostering a burgeoning admiration. However, this period of burgeoning understanding is dramatically interrupted by devastating news. Lydia, Elizabeth's youngest and most imprudent sister, has eloped with Mr. Wickham. This is a monumental scandal, threatening to ruin the entire Bennet family's reputation and jeopardizing the marriage prospects of all the other sisters. Elopement without marriage was an unthinkable disgrace in Regency society, and the potential for social ostracism is immense. Elizabeth is heartbroken and horrified, blaming herself for not having exposed Wickham's true character earlier. The family is in an uproar, Mrs. Bennet is hysterical, and Mr. Bennet is filled with regret and despair. In a desperate attempt to resolve the crisis, Mr. Gardiner travels to London. To everyone's immense relief and surprise, Lydia and Wickham are found, and Wickham agrees to marry Lydia. However, the terms are suspiciously lenient. Wickham agrees to a small annual income, and Lydia is given a modest sum, supposedly from Mr. Gardiner. The family believes Mr. Gardiner footed the bill. Elizabeth later learns the true, astonishing details from her aunt. It was, in fact, Mr. Darcy who located Wickham and Lydia, and at great personal expense and sacrifice, he arranged their marriage, paid off Wickham's enormous debts, and secured his commission in the army. Darcy's actions were entirely discreet and driven by his profound love for Elizabeth, his desire to save her family from ruin, and his sense of responsibility for having failed to expose Wickham earlier. This revelation utterly transforms Elizabeth's feelings for Darcy. She recognizes the depth of his character, his unwavering integrity, and the immense love he holds for her, demonstrated through a selfless act that went against all his previous aristocratic pride. This is a moment of profound humility and gratitude for Elizabeth, shattering the last vestiges of her prejudice. She now sees him as a truly honorable and magnanimous man. This act not only saves her family but redeems Darcy in her eyes, proving his worth far beyond wealth and status. With the crisis resolved, Bingley and Darcy return to Netherfield. Bingley, free from Darcy's earlier influence and his sister's interference, renews his courtship of Jane. This time, their love story unfolds without obstacles, leading to their joyous engagement. Jane's gentle nature and Bingley's amiable disposition make them a perfectly matched, if less complicated, couple compared to Elizabeth and Darcy. Their union represents a simpler, more immediate kind of love, yet one that still required overcoming external interference. However, Lady Catherine de Bourgh, having heard rumors of an impending engagement between Elizabeth and Darcy, makes an unannounced and furious visit to Longbourn. She demands that Elizabeth promise never to marry Darcy, citing Elizabeth's inferior connections as an insurmountable barrier. Lady Catherine embodies aristocratic snobbery and an unyielding pride in her family's status. Elizabeth, with characteristic spirit and dignity, refuses to make such a promise, asserting her right to choose her own husband. Her defiance, ironically, gives Darcy hope as he learns of it through Lady Catherine's indignant report. He realizes that Elizabeth's refusal to be intimidated by his powerful aunt indicates a change in her feelings towards him. This incident paves the way for the novel's final, emotionally resonant proposal. Darcy, encouraged by Lady Catherine's report, proposes to Elizabeth for a second time. This time, his proposal is delivered with genuine humility, expressing his unreserved love and respect for her. He has shed his pride, acknowledging his past mistakes and valuing her character above all else. Elizabeth, having overcome her prejudice and now deeply in love with him, joyfully accepts. Their engagement is a triumph of mutual understanding, personal growth, and love over societal expectations and individual flaws. It symbolizes a partnership built on intellectual compatibility, profound respect, and a deep, true affection. The novel concludes with Elizabeth and Darcy and Jane and Bingley happily married. The union of Elizabeth and Darcy in particular transcends the limitations of social class and initial misjudgments, proving that true love can blossom even in the most challenging circumstances. Their story is a powerful testament to the transformative power of self-awareness and the courage to admit one's errors. They both learn that pride relates more to our opinion of ourselves, vanity to what we would have others think of us, and that prejudice blinds us from loving others and pride blinds us from being loved by others. Their journey teaches them and us that genuine connection requires open hearts and minds, a willingness to see beyond superficialities, and the humility to grow. Deep insight and reflection, the enduring appeal of Pride and Prejudice lies not just in its engaging plot and witty dialogue, but in its profound philosophical and humanistic implications that continue to resonate in our modern world. The novel delves into fundamental questions about how we perceive others, the nature of happiness, and the extent to which we are shaped by our societal environment versus our individual will. It challenges us to look beyond the surface, to question our first impressions, and to actively combat the biases that blind us. One of the most significant modern applications of Pride and Prejudice is its timeless lesson on overcoming biases. In our interconnected yet often polarized world, where social media and curated online personas dominate our interactions, the novel serves as a powerful cautionary tale against snap judgments. We are constantly forming opinions based on limited information, much like Elizabeth initially judged Darcy based on his haughty demeanor and Wickham's deceitful stories. For example, consider the ease with which we cancel individuals online based on a single tweet or a decontextualized quote. This mirrors Elizabeth's quick condemnation of Darcy without seeking further evidence. Moreover, the novel speaks volumes about navigating social pressures and the pursuit of authenticity. While the specific class structures of Regency England have evolved, the dynamics of social status, wealth, and influence remain pertinent. Today, young people face immense pressure regarding career choices, financial stability, and even relationship milestones. The pressure to marry well for security, as seen with Charlotte Lucas, finds its contemporary parallel in the societal expectation to achieve a certain career path, own specific brands, or present a perfect life on social media. Many individuals feel compelled to compromise their true desires to meet these external benchmarks, echoing the sacrifices women of Austen's era often had to make. The emphasis on critical thinking is another vital takeaway. Elizabeth's journey highlights the necessity of critically evaluating information and challenging initial impressions. Darcy's letter, a crucial piece of evidence, forces her to re-examine her narrative and question Wickham's credibility, ultimately leading to her moment of profound self-awareness. Till this moment, I never knew myself. In an age of widespread misinformation and algorithmic echo chambers, the ability to discern truth, to question our own assumptions, and to seek out multiple perspectives is more crucial than ever. For example, fact-checking news stories or actively seeking diverse viewpoints on complex issues are modern manifestations of Elizabeth's intellectual awakening. Finally, Pride and Prejudice offers profound insights into authenticity in relationships. Austen's championing of marriage based on genuine affection, mutual respect, and intellectual compatibility over superficial attraction or financial gain continues to resonate. In a world where fleeting connections and online dating often prioritize curated appearances, the enduring love story of Elizabeth and Darcy reminds us that true intimacy is built on understanding, empathy, and the willingness to see and accept each other's flaws. Their journey of mutual growth and forgiveness sets a timeless standard for healthy relationships. For instance, couples today who prioritize deep conversations and shared values over material possessions or public display are living out the essence of Austen's ideal. Let's ponder some questions that Pride and Prejudice continues to provoke. Question on first impressions. How reliable are your first impressions of people, and what external factors most strongly influence them? Are you more likely to trust charm or quiet integrity? Question on pride and humility. In what situations do you find your own pride or self-assurance preventing you from seeing a situation or person clearly? How can one cultivate humility without sacrificing self-respect? Question on societal expectations. What societal pressures do you face today regarding your life choices, career, relationships, lifestyle? And how do you navigate the tension between these expectations and your authentic desires? Question on communication. The lack of open communication leads to significant misunderstandings in the novel. Can you recall instances in your own life where honest, albeit difficult, communication could have prevented conflict or deepened a relationship? Question on forgiveness and growth. Elizabeth and Darcy both had to forgive each other's past behaviors and their own misjudgments. What role does forgiveness, both of others and of oneself, play in personal growth and healthy relationships? Question on wealth and happiness. The novel constantly juxtaposes wealth with happiness. To what extent do you believe financial security genuinely contributes to happiness, and at what point do other factors like love, purpose, or community become more significant? Question on modern adaptations. If Pride and Prejudice were set in today's world, what modern social media phenomena or cultural trends would replace the balls, letters, and gossip of Regency England in driving the plot and revealing character? Question on defining success. What defines a successful life or marriage in your view? Is it public recognition, financial achievement, personal contentment, or the quality of one's relationships? These questions invite us to connect Austen's 19th century world with our own, demonstrating that while the settings and customs may change, the fundamental human quest for understanding, love, and self-awareness remains eternally relevant. Outro Pride and Prejudice is far more than a simple love story. It is a meticulously crafted societal mirror, reflecting our perpetual struggles with judgment, ego, and the pursuit of genuine connection. Jane Austen's genius lies in her ability to weave profound psychological insights and sharp social commentary into a narrative that remains utterly captivating. Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy's journey teaches us that true love is not about flawless individuals, but about two people willing to shed their pride and overcome their prejudices, to truly see and respect one another for who they are, flaws and all. Their story is a powerful testament to the transformative power of self-awareness and humility. It reminds us that our initial impressions, no matter how strong, are often incomplete and flawed, and that real understanding requires patience, introspection, and an open heart. This novel implores us to continually question our own biases, to look beyond superficial appearances, and to strive for authentic connections grounded in mutual respect and genuine affection. If Pride and Prejudice has sparked your interest in the nuanced world of Jane Austen and the timeless themes she explored, we highly recommend delving into her other remarkable works. You might enjoy Sense and Sensibility, which explores the balance between reason and emotion through the lives of two sisters, Elinor and Marion Dashwood, and their contrasting approaches to love and life. Or consider Emma, a witty and insightful tale about a well-meaning but meddlesome young woman who delights in matchmaking, only to discover her own profound misjudgments. Beyond Austen, you might also be fascinated by the philosophical underpinnings of social dynamics in works like Middlemarch by George Eliot, which offers an expansive look at the interconnected lives within a small English town, delving into ambition, idealism, and the constraints of society. Or, if you're drawn to the exploration of moral character and societal critique in a different cultural context, Consider Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, a sweeping epic that contrasts societal expectations with passionate love, revealing the complex moral landscapes of 19th century Russia. These works, much like Pride and Prejudice, invite us to ponder the eternal questions of human nature, societal influence, and the pursuit of meaning. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Pride and Prejudice. We hope this journey has illuminated the brilliance of Jane Austen and encouraged you to reflect on your own experiences with pride, prejudice, and the profound human desire for true connection. May we all strive to be a little more like Elizabeth Bennet in her capacity for growth, and a little more like Darcy in his willingness to humble himself for love. Until next time, keep exploring, and keep questioning, and keep